Good evening, everybody. I am not Ben Schneider. I am Joshua Birch. He's filled in for me so many times over the past couple of months as well. I thought fair is fair. Ben is currently thousands of meters above us on a flight back home as well, which means I am delighted to be stepping into his shoes here. Welcome back to Grid Live Encore. Alongside me, as always, is our wonderful partner on the show, Brandon Crosslin. Brandon, good evening to you. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, Josh, and I was looking forward to this when I heard it was just going to be you and me, my friend across the pond there, because I don't think I've been on here when you're hosting. So I've
No.
always enjoyed your unique style of hosting, and so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, not at all going to look like we're going to be thrown into the deep end with this as well, because if you're tuning in tonight expecting the very silk tones of Ben ranting about things every 5 seconds, you're going to put up with me
It's not
ranting about
happening.
things. No, you've got me, and I'm much worse than Ben. But it's all going to go well, and we're very much looking forward to it as well. I just want to say a quick thank you to Joe Samiego, who's doing all our graphics and cameras tonight as well, so that we can focus on the script as well. Big love to him, and also thank you to all our Patreon subscribers as well for tuning in as well once again, to Colin, Deshelle, Mark, Robin, and our newest Patreon member, David, as well. You too can subscribe via Patreon, and all of that link is down in the description. More information about that later on in the show. But Brandon's going to have a few minutes to relax now, and just you and me, dear viewer, are going to have a one-on-one. So Brandon, you can go and sit back, because it's time to talk Formula 2 and Formula 3, the other events that was going on at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps throughout the weekend as well. And I've got a lovely iPad here with all my notes on it that I've had throughout the weekend. The biggest ones, though, Sophia Flörsch, after having her points sort of taken away from her in Austria due to a tyre pressure issue, where she finished P9 and got 2 World Championship points. Then she was the first ever female driver to get points in Formula 3. That was taken away. This weekend, though, she did it again. First ever points for a female driver in FIA Formula 3 with a P6 in the feature race. But we'll start with Formula 3 on the sprint. And it was a fantastic weekend for Formula 3 and Formula 2. Just like Formula 1, the rain played so much havoc with it as well. Nobody knew what was going on. And the Formula 3 sprint race was very chaotic. Carl Collette took the lead as well, but he started fourth on the grid. Now, the race started with a safety car as well to come through. Then we had all hell going. But we did get a standing start. We did go green. One lap was completed before the safety car came out, with the rain conditions being too worse as well. But Carl Collette, right round the outside of Taylor Barnard at Blanchimont on dry tyres in wet conditions, the best move I've ever seen. It was literally hold your breath style. Safety car, though, was outside, and we had 12 laps in total. The safety car was out for 10 of those, meaning only 2 laps were completed. And there was a disruption with race control, whether or not those 2 laps actually counted towards green flag running. Initially, at the end of that race, which we all got up for very early on Saturday morning, 8:20, the announcement from race control was that no points would be allocated for the sprint race. The teams protested because the rules that were brought in after 2021's F1 Belgium Grand Prix stated that it wouldn't be a full points race. But the race wasn't stopped, and the race did complete its full distance. The stewards argued, the teams argued. It was decided later on that night points would be awarded. So Carl Collette richly gets the points for a fantastic delivery as well. Barnard second, Paula on third. Johnny Edgar, very surprising in fourth, and Franco Colapinto in fifth. But just take a look further down as well. Sophia Flörsch finished in 12th position. That's brilliant for her in the sprint race. But where's our championship leader? Where's Gabriele Bortoleto? Weekend from hell for our championship leader as well. He way down the order as well in 25th place. One of our DNFers as well with a broken turning, so he didn't go any further. Talking then about the main race on Sunday, it was in wet conditions, so we had a bit of a standing start debacle whether or not we'd actually go for it. But after a formation up, we went through, and Taylor Barnard, who finished second in the sprint race, went on to take the feature race win as well. Thrilling race as well for Genza, their first win since 2019. The formation up, as I said, was behind the safety car. Then we got a rolling start. Marty was on the field on slick tyres, half the field on slicks, half the field started on wet tyres. Now, those wet tyre runners were the top 7 minus Kyle Collette. He came in and changed over to the dry tyres. And eventually, with the track starting wet, those on the wet tyres later on in the race burnt out and were crawling around. But they had such a gap to everyone who started on the medium soft tyre, which was the sort of slicks that they go on as well. So they had come into temperature by the end of the race with the track drying out. So they were catching. So it was a bit of a to and a throw. But we did have a couple of ones that didn't start. Gabriel Mini crashed on the way to the grid. Ollie Goethe stopped, causing a safety car. Roberto Ferrer, Ida Cohen, Oliver Gray, they were all out. Wu and Shin as well. Francesco Simonazzi, all having problems. But the top 5 were all on the dry tyres. Carl Collette getting through, passing Montoya, and Sophia Flörsch holding on for points as well for the first time in her Formula 3 career. Now, Formula 2 was absolutely chaotic. If we thought F3 was bad, F2 was even worse. On the Saturday, we did have a standing start for Formula 2. And it was Johan Jaruvela who got away from pole position on the line as well. Richard Verschoor bogged down as lights went out. Managed to hold off Enzo Fittipaldi, though. Didn't work out. Poor Cheer, though, who had to take maximum attack on the poor qualifying from Frederick Vesti as well. Yes, he started P2 on the grid, but that meant he started 11th on the grid coming into the sprint race. Cheer started higher up the grid and took advantage of that fact. He got through as well. The results in total at the end of that one, it was a great run, as I said, because it was a move and a half from Enzo Fittipaldi, who went right round the outside, took the lead away, and then Cheer finished in second, Hauger third. Literally, Fittipaldi said, I got my first victory in Formula 2. I'm very happy about that. It was an amazing race. I was actually a really difficult start, but then I was able to manage and have a good pace at the end. I was able to get Richard on the last 2-3 laps. Richard Verschoor, of course, did finish in second, but got a penalty post-race as well for ride height issues. He was disqualified and finished 22nd, but he and Enzo's battle, chef's kiss for a gap between the sprint qualifying and the sprint race for Formula 1. Feature race on Sunday morning, however, did start as well in a little bit of an interesting way. There was a twist in the title fight. It started behind the safety car because Formula 3 was drying. So everybody thought, okay, Formula 2, we'll go out there, we'll start on slick tyres. Easy peasy. Victor Martins, as he came out the top of the hill onto the Camel Straight, lost the rear, hit the wall. He was able to continue and start. But the championship leader and the man selling Peter on the grid, Frederick Vesti, lost it at the end of the Camel Straight, hit the wall, damaged the toe link. He was out of the race. Now that gave an open goal to Ollie Behrman, to Amumawasa, and to Theo Pourchaire to take the lead in the Drivers' Championship. The gap between them all was 12 points. Going in, it's all changed. What happened, nobody could expect, because Amumawasa was the second one to retire with a damage as well. And it was just chaotic because when we had Pourchaire versus Doohan, Pourchaire led most of the race, and then a mistimed pit stop cost him. Jack Doohan, perfect, double stop, brilliantly done, and he took the lead and got the win. So Jack Doohan puts himself from 5th up to 4th now in the championship. He now goes into championship contention with 3 weekends left of Formula 2. Doohan winning back-to-back feature races as well after last week's in Hungary. Pourchaire second, and into third position came Enzo Fittipaldi, making it a double victory on the run as well. I want to talk one more thing about Formula 3 and the stewards, but we've got some comments in the chat room to come through as well, because we've got Ben who says, greeting from JAX. Thanks again, Josh, for filling in while I wait for my flight back to Mass. No worries at all. Thank you for filling in so many times for me over the last couple of weeks of Grid Tonight. It's the least I could do. Casey Campbell says, oh, hello. Hello, Casey. Hope you're doing well. And Adam Limerick says, go, Sophia. That was awesome. And Adam, another personal note, sorry, mate, we couldn't come in the commentary box because the Formula 3, we had a right mess with Formula E this weekend. Race 1, I had to do it on my own, but then we swapped back for the last 3 laps into the main commentary box. And then on Sunday, Adam was busy. Adam, we'll get you on the Combox team for a race ASAP. And I want to say as well, Adam says safe travels to Ben as well back. Last thing I want to say before we bring Brandon back for the rest of the show, Jose Maria Marti. Now, this was on Saturday in the sprint race. He made contact and took out another driver in that race down at Puong. He was then signalled to come back onto the track. He did so without looking both ways and collected Ida Cohen and took him out of the race. Now, that bit of blatant dangerous driving to cause 2 accidents went unpunished by the FIA. Yet, the same FIA decided that Lewis Hamilton deserved a 5-second time penalty for racing Sergio Perez, and Perez not giving him enough room after Hamilton on dry tyres on a damp track had a slight overcorrection. Perez had the same thing. The FIA stewards need to be more consistent. Marty should have got a race ban for the dangerous manner that he rejoined the track, whereas Lewis Hamilton shouldn't have got a penalty. It was very, very confusing to come into it. So that's my last feature on that with Formula 2 and Formula 3. Their next race is Formula 2's next race is at Zandvoort, but Formula 3's next race is the season finale at Monza, where Gabriel Bortoleto could win the title. Brandon, you're back with us now as well, and I don't know how close you follow F2 and F3, but that was crazy. But we've had craziness across all the categories we're covering tonight. What do you make of that, just listening into it?
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy stuff, and I mean, everyone loves Spa, and I'm one of those people that love Spa, and I thought it was funny. They tried to move it, then they tried to move it on the calendar where it wouldn't have rain, and you know, we're gonna have it. The rain's gonna do its thing, and so we're all better for it.
You might notice that my voice is a little bit hoarse, is the expression. It's a little bit out of tune. That's because we calculated we've covered an extra 5.5 hours broadcasting this weekend that was already scheduled for the 11 hours because of all of the rain delays. So and that wasn't just F1. Formula E had it too on yesterday. So we're all a bit tired out with the voices. Moving on then to our next segment on the show, it's ARCA West as well, and what a fantastic race we had at ARCA. There was a couple of interesting situations as well with penalties to be applied, but the main question as we look at it was Sean Hoggerani who took the race win as well. Trevor Huddleston was in second, Cola Raz in third position, Leighton Lewis in fourth, and Eric Nascimento Jr. in fifth position. But Ben, Brandon, the question I've got to ask you, Ben's going to chat in the comment, that's what I'm saying. Brandon, the question I've got to ask you about this as well is, should Sean, he wins again, but should his penalty have had an effect on his West Series Championship fight, or was the one race in main ARCA competition enough?
Yeah, and speaking of drivers getting penalties, right? We were just talking about that on the Formula side. Yeah, and I do hope Ben does comment on this because I know he does have the more insight on this clearly. But yeah, the penalty, just to clear up what that penalty was, according to ARCA, I'll read it again. The penalty is for violation of Rulebook Section 12.8.1, which references ARCA member conduct guidelines, and Section C and D, yada yada, which reference intentionally wrecking another vehicle, premeditatedly removing another competitor from contention when not racing for position, and waiting for another competitor, and then taking action. So if you look back at the feed of that last lap there, what it's referencing is, of course, Mid-Ohio. And I just deleted the script for some reason, so I'll have to get that back. but that's kind of important. But it's referencing Mid-Ohio, where Sean Higurani took out his teammate, Dean Thompson, and in the last lap in a retaliation move. And so as punishment, he wasn't going to be at Iowa. But you still look at the ARCA West standings. He's second there in points, just 7 points behind Landon Lewis. And one would say that's not enough because, you look at other forms of course, across the pond, we look at other forms of motorsport. They get very, very strict punishment for far less. And also, I remember when we talked about this on the Mid-Ohio week, Ben and I discussed more of a culture thing going on in ARCA, where this kind of behavior is becoming more tolerable for some reason. And when you start lessening the punishment on things like this, you're inviting more younger guys and girls to come in and do the same thing, if not worse. And they'll have some sort of confidence that they're not going to have any cause and effect for them later on down the road. Sean Higurani, he won in Irwindale, Bakersfield, and he gets the win at Shasta, coming back there since 2015. That was cool to see that happen. But as far as his punishment there, it's probably not as strict as it should be.
I mean, as I was saying, I've said it many, many times on the grid shows as well. How long is it going to take NASCAR and ARCA and all the divisions as well to realize that you've got to punish drivers who do intentionally wreck into people? Because you've got the likes of Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, despite the fact he's had a good weekend just this past, and he's getting slowly better. the instincts is still there. Ross Chastain as well, crashing into people, winning, destroying races as well. Bob Wallace deliberately crashing into people. A few others deliberately crashing into people this year as well in higher calibers. How long is it going to take until proper punishments are in? Because it is really all going in as to how they're going to, well, the big guys can do it. We can do it too. There's no morality to the action, is there? So is it now a problem where the bigger series have got to come in, the big brothers have got to come in and say, look, we're not happy with this, and it's not allowed across any other categories as well, because this is the set punishment now.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably when it's going to come to. And I see Ben's comments making their way through. I'm just not convinced one race is enough for intentional wrecks like that. Some deal with Bubba Wallace and Cup last year or Chase this year. 3 races seems more fitting for the severity, in his honest opinion. But baby steps, though, the fact that ARCA suspended him at all was a bit of a surprise. And that just shows you how much the bar has slipped, especially for ARCA.
Yes, indeed, as well. So it was nice to see some common sense a little bit for penalties, but still moving away from ARCA then into the truck series as well. Just taking a quick look at their results. Of course, it was all split up this weekend, wasn't it, with Xfinity racing at Road America. We'll go on to those shortly, but the Worldwide Express 250 for the Craftsman Truck Series. It was Carlson Hocevar as well taking the race win. Apologies if I've butchered that name as well, but
Hocevar would be.
Hocevar, thank you. It's the voice. I can't get to the decibels. We need it. Time Majestic, though, in P2 is fantastic, but he has got very interesting situations, because I'm going to jump ahead in the script a little bit by reading out one of the most bizarrest penalties and bizarrest end to the races, Brandon, as well. Did Time Majestic's penalty cost him the win? And are you surprised he held on to those old tyres as long as he actually did? Because it was for speeding in the pit lane, wasn't it?
Yeah, I seem to miss a very important part of the race there. At the end of stage 2, you mentioned pre-show that that's where you got that speeding penalty. Very crucial part. You want to get that final stretch right, and unfortunately, Time Majeski made a little slip up there. And so coming to the end, you had, he was able to retain the lead, but it just wasn't able to keep the tires there. And Richmond is one of those many short tracks that you don't want to have tire issues. And if you are slow, wear down, someone is going to pass you. And Carson Hocevar was just in the right seat there for the restart and was able to take advantage of that. And so it's really another big weekend for Carson Hocevar, breakout year in the truck series, especially adding win number 3. That's amazing for him compared to where you saw him last year, just not finding the success he needed. One of those bridesmaid but never the bride sort of scenarios in 2022.
Yeah, and Carson Hocevar, I can't do it now. I'm just going to call him Carson. We all know what we're talking about.
Carson H.
Carson H, yeah. Car H as well. Has he got the best chance as well to take down Corey Hamlin as well? Because it's just so good from what we saw that weekend in that intense battle we saw at the end of the Truck Series race.
Yeah, Hocevar, he's starting to impress me this year. What's that?
You do it. You can pronounce it.
Yeah, sorry. He's starting to impress me this year. And Corey Heim has been a rocket ship, leading the points obviously right now, or playoff standings. But so the only other people I could see catching up to Heim besides him would probably be, of course, Zane Smith, last year's champion. Grant Enfinger has been showing some promise here as of late. Of course, you can't count Time Majeski out, even though he had the oopsie here at Richmond. He's still one of the top caliber drivers, and also Christian Eckes as well. You got those guys in the 2-win column: Christian Eckes, Grant Enfinger, and Carson Hocevar currently has the most wins in the series. So he's on a really good track though to pass those top guys. And I think we're done with all the Cup Series cameos for the rest of the year.
I think so in the trucks, yeah.
So we should be fine.
I know, I've been keeping across that just so I could rant about them on the show.
We'll cross our fingers, though. You never know.
Oh, I've been doing prayers and everything as well. I've been, everything. And I've even got people on it as well, just making sure. They've got, what's those, it's like a hex, isn't it, they can do as well. People from the witching side as well. But moving away from the trucks, which was still on the NASCAR Ovals circuit as well, to Xfinity, who took a week away from the Cup Series as a tie-in and went to Road America instead, one of the most famous racetracks in all of America. It's a staple on the IndyCar calendar. It's a staple on the Xfinity Road as well. And it was a very bizarre race. And just to quote that as well, I've got to say, we've got a comment from Upright Fossil, who is a regular here on the Grid Network and is also a regular on JB Motorsports, who says, in case I don't make it on time, that race was a top 10 ever finish in racing in my lifetime. I wish JB, that's me, was broadcasting. I can just hear him screaming the lead changes and runoffs, dirt flying.
Yes.
What an end to that race as well. And it was Sam Mayer as well. It's just so good. I mean, I'm glad that the Xfinity Series does occasionally break away for solo weekends. But Brandon, it's coming to you as well. That was top tier racing. Has it now shown that that's why Xfinity deserves its own sort of its own saga to follow as well? Because here in Europe, the F2 and F3 sort of get sidelined as well. They sort of just get in. Same with MotoGP's juniors of 2 and 3. They just sort of get shoved to the side on a weekend as well. Not much attention on them. But the Xfinity Series over in America, it's just as popular as the NASCAR Cup Series as well. So is this type of racing proof as to why the Xfinity Series is popular and deserves to have the level of recognition it does?
Man, I had a lot of fun seeing those last few laps, and I put in our grid chat when it was 2 laps to go. That was the best lap. There's just the best lap to watch. I was just laughing out loud every time someone fell off the racing line. It was just hysterical. Like, oh, there he goes. Oh, there he goes. And you didn't know who was going to get the win, and that's what makes road racing with big hunks of metal so much fun. But I have to speak out for Ben since he's not here. I hate it that he's not here for Sam Mayer's first victory. I know he's here in the comments and he's going to start talking, but you can't. I'll speak to his talking point. You can't let this take away from the fact that this was orchestrated from a NASCAR overtime scenario.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the rare exceptions. I mean, I said it myself over on one of the broadcasts this weekend about the overtime we have in Formula E, how that sort of won me over. The fact is that the laps we lose under yellow flag conditions are added back. It's a system that the touring cars have as well. And it does work because you say you spend 4 laps behind the safety car, you get 2 of those laps back. It's a nice change around. And I think the overtime rule in NASCAR and Xfinity and trucks and ARCA as well, it's all very weird. But I think this is an instance as to how it can be done correctly. So I'm sort of leaning more for it as well now. And in case you want to hear more about our thoughts about green, white checker races as well, and Ben, even though he's not here on the show tonight ranting, a couple of months ago on the Grid Network, we did a round table discussion about overtimes and green, white checker finishes and everything. So do go, please take a look at the round tables as well. They're all on our Grid Network channels. Just taking a look at the results, though, it was such a brilliant one. There's Catherine Lecter, I've just noticed, down in 38th place. But the first half of the page, you've got so many big names as well tuning in, and it's a first-time winner at the top. Sam Mayer, as you say, taking it. Parker Kligerman in second. Austin Hill third. Sage Karam, who's done many races here in Europe and in IndyCar, finishing in 4th place. Riley Hersbert in 5th. Josh Berry 6th. AJ Allmendinger, we'll get on to him later, finishing P9 as well. Didn't win the Road America Xfinity races. Many on the team predicted. But just looking at the names that Sam had to beat, is this going to be a sort of weight off the shoulders to have a breakthrough win? And is it exactly what he needed to take his performance to the next level?
I think the post-race interview said it all. He was pumped out of his mind, man. He was so happy to get this off of his shoulder and that monkey off your back, so to speak. We've seen it with all sorts of first-time winners and how long they've had to wait to get that first victory. And it starts becoming a mental game for them. You got to think that, am I not good enough? Am I not supposed to be here? Do I not have what it takes? And then they go out there and the circumstances line up in their favor and they find their way to a win. And that really could propel him to a late playoff run, even. You never know what this kind of thing can do. But even though their playoff grid is only to 12 as opposed to the Cup 16, so fewer slots to fill, and it kind of goes. Well, I know the trucks go a lot quicker, but I forget how quick. Xfinity is slightly quicker, but um, I'd say this has. We always say after someone wins, is this going to help them with their championship hopes? I think this is one of those cases where you can say, yeah, this is going to take them to the next level. It's definitely going to keep them another year at Junior Motorsports. Don't know how long that contract is, but yeah, this is really big, and you can't write a better storybook ending. Well, begin it, not an ending, but another chapter to win in your home state. He's a Wisconsin boy and wins at America's track.
End of book 1, start of book 2 as well. He's writing a whole saga now as well.
There you go.
And we were saying about how lifting it is to get your first win and everything as well. Parker Kligerman as well. Again, denied this season as well. Can he win a race before the end of the year? He got so close as well, up towards the line. But everyone weaving it off and off the track as well. Dust getting kicked up as well. He was one of them. And it just never happened again this year. It's getting a bit frustrating watching it now.
Indy Road Course. That's his last chance, man. Indy Road Course. Everyone had, and we'll talk about him later, everyone had AJ. They were like, can AJ win it or will someone else steal it from him? That's how sure we were for AJ Allmendinger at Road America. And you can't be crazy in thinking that. But man, Parker Kligerman, what a drive for him. And spoiler, he's probably my one shining moment, but I've got other things to talk about too. But that was a great drive for him. And I just got to give hats off to the whole Big Machine crew out of Nashville area for being able to get that done. Also, Parker Kligerman getting a chance taken on him to go back full time in the Xfinity Series, and also still doing his TV work. He does a great job at both, and he does a lot for the esports side of things too. I admire him in that regard as well. So his win, I hope, is coming. I can't say for certain because I don't know how much longer he has, but Indy Road Course is his best opportunity that I can see right now.
That's in what, 2-3 weeks time, somewhere along that line, isn't it? To come into
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Joe got me there before me, saying definitely one of the most exciting finishes in racing. I wish JP had been calling that one. We're trying to bat the idea around with USRN that we're going to do all the Cup Series next year, and you'll probably hear me on some Xfinity races as well for ones I can't cover, because me and Matthew Owens as well, who has USRN, we've had him on the show before. We're talking about the possibility of doing the mammoth challenge of commentating on every single NASCAR Cup Series race, and in sort of like a rolling lead commentator role, so that he'd do some, I'd do some, and that way we've always got something going. So you will hear me call some NASCAR, and I've done it a couple of times before. Casey Campbell, hello, Casey, says Indy and Watkins Glen are going to be littered with Cup drivers.
That's a good point.
Yeah, don't get me started. I've got a rant coming just to push us over a little bit with the time.
My hopes is that the Clig man can just swim right through all that. They'll knock each other out there in the kink, and we'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll have an Xfinity full season winner at Indy GP. Mark my words.
I hope so, because if it's
I keep calling it Indy GP.
It is the Indy GP. It's whatever it is.
Basically.
The Harvest Grand Prix, Gallagher Grand Prix, whatever it is. It's the road course as well. It's Indy. Indy is Indy. Like Mr. Incredible. Math is math.
Indy parking lot.
Oh, that's fun, yeah. Basically, I know what it is. It's the Indy Xfinity race on the road course that should actually be on the Brickyard 400. That's what
correct.
It should be. Yeah. I know Ben's already saying bring back Brickyard 400. He'd probably say bring back Freedom 100 as well and everything as well. Basically, just run on the oval course.
That was last week's discussion.
I thought it might be somewhere around there. Talking about drivers that have impressed us so much this weekend as well. Sage Karam as well coming in for the Xfinity race here. Does he deserve a full-time opportunity in the Xfinity Series? I mean, it was great what he did. Look, he finished in P4, and it's a hard series to finish that good.
Yeah, I don't know if he's deserving. Deserve is a big word. I don't know if he's deserving of a full-time Xfinity opportunity. It would be cool if he got one, because there's plenty of road courses to go around. And now, hey, we got a street course now, so come on over, try it, see what you think. But I still see Sage Karam kind of like in that Santino Ferrucci category. He's
Yeah,
really IndyCar bread and butter. Sage Karam always with Dreyer Reinbold trying for the 500. Um, that's really kind of where I place him in my mind, open wheel camp. But he's had plenty of Xfinity starts and shown some prowess. It's kind of up to you. I don't know if he deserve. I think Parker Kligerman deserved
he's
an
deserved.
Xfinity opportunity. Now that would be where I'd say deserve, but Karam, I don't know. It's cool that he's getting the opportunity, and I think in that position you need to prove why you're needing to be there.
And the final one as well, which is where we're coming up to the rant as well. AJ Allmendinger. We all said it. We all knew about it. It was so ambitious for him to do the double, as well. Xfinity at Road America and then NASCAR Cup Series on the Oval on the Sunday as well. The big question is, did he make a mistake running Road America? I think he finished 9th on the road in Road America, and then at Richmond on the Sunday. Yes, he did. That's good memory. He finished 27th in the Cup Series race at Richmond. I mean, that is just, it's lack of exhaustion. You're going from a road course in an Xfinity car to an oval in NASCAR, and you're expecting it to be easy. It's impossible.
Well, he's no stranger to it. It brings me back to Portland when he ran Portland in the terrible rain conditions the first time we had Grid Network out there, and then I believe that was paired up with Gateway last year. So he went from soggy wet and won that, and then went over to Worldwide Technology Raceway. Yes, thank you, Joe, in the background. Exactly what happened. And I don't remember his finish at Worldwide Technology, but it wasn't a win. But that was a really successful weekend. So with that precedent, I don't see why he wouldn't try doing this crazy shenanigans again. So Road America to Richmond doesn't seem that crazy when you look at what he did last year. But yeah, it was major capital L for this weekend for AJ Allmendinger. It just couldn't have gone worse because you running Road America, you get taken out there in a terrible way, and then you don't even get to qualify for Richmond, which is a track position heavy place. You will get a lap down easily if you're not qualified well, and there he is finishing P27. So it just, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. That's a Jerry Reed quote if you want to use that.
Do you reckon this is going to be a bit of a thing for my side of the camp, saying that no, we shouldn't have the Cup Series drivers doing Xfinity races and all this lot as well?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, is it? Did I cut out? I thought so. I was getting notifications and they might have cut out. Is it on my side of the camp saying as well the fact that we shouldn't have Xfinity drivers mixing with ARCA and we shouldn't have Cup Series drivers mixing with Xfinity? Basically, the swap around. All I say is, stick to your own series. Is this another thing to say, well, look at AJ Allmendinger. He did well-ish at Road America, but really suffered the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree about that. I mean, especially for people leeching over, but I'm also, I'm probably not as consistent as Ben because I'm kind of all over the place. I do like seeing guys testing their mental and physical abilities by doing crazy things like this. It gives me Indy 500, Coke 600 kind of vibes where you're, taking the IV in the helicopter or in the plane as you making your way over there the same day. Not as strong as a comparison, but I don't know. I get a little inconsistent when it comes to that. I like seeing guys like AJ Allmendinger do their thing. We're not going to have them around forever, so it's cool to see them try to do these spectacular things that not many people can do. But yeah, I still hold strong with the we don't like Xfinity drivers and Cup. I get it. Or I mean, Cup and Xfinity.
Yeah. No, basically both, isn't it? Yeah, and I like that idea about having the IV on the flight over. I might try that because next year I'm doing the triple. I'm doing the Monaco Grand Prix. I'm doing the Indy 500. Then I'm doing the Charlotte 600 race, the Coca-Cola. So I'm doing it all next year.
I don't know how it's in the UK, but in America they actually have. So like down the road for me, there's like a place that just you go and get an IV.
No, we have to go to A&E over here as well to do that. Yeah, and
just for hydration.
Yeah. Funny story because we've got a bit of time. that actually happened to me once, about 7, 8 years ago. I collapsed and I was taken to A&E, and I was severely dehydrated to the point where it was very close to being very dangerous as well. So I was stuck on 2 lots of IV fluids being pumped into me, and I was in hospital for about 16 hours. It was a very long day, that one as well. Then I was put on, precautionary things. That was a long time ago, but that's why you drink water, kids, and that's why up here and everything we've got some nice drinks. This is actually Vimto and water, just in case you're wondering. The conditions were brutal for the Cup. In-car cams recorded 134 Fahrenheit. That's, of course, 57 degrees C for 2+ hours. That's insane.
Richmond was no cakewalk the other day, and
No.
I still don't understand why we're putting it back in the daytime for both events on the calendar. That's another conversation. Why did we take Richmond away from the nighttime? I don't know.
Ben says, still remember Kurt Busch getting the IV on the jet over to Charlotte from Indy. The physical toll is just much of the challenge as the logistics are as well. Yeah, so I'd say what, that would be good. Just literally, because as a commentator point of view, you're standing up for 2-3 hours, maybe even sometimes 4, commentating the Indy 500, and then you've got to go do something else. And I do Monaco before as well, so it's just like, yeah, much fluids in here as possible to stop myself sounding like Kermit the Frog who's gone through a blunder. That's a very weird one to say. But yeah, I do actually. Right, coming up then to the one shining moment for tonight as well. And Brandon, you said you've got a couple actually, considering Ben's not on the show. You can go wild and you can have several.
Yeah, well, a couple there. I got to give Parker Kligerman one there for just a spectacular job. And I mean, there's just a lot of good stuff this weekend. Parker Kligerman, Sam Mayer with his first win, Carson Hocevar with a third win, and I have to say, seeing Hocevar and Majeski battle was such a great thing with the Truck Series at Richmond because they're both late model stock car dudes. This is their bread and butter. So to see two guys that are no stranger to the Snowball Derby, no stranger to Winchester, go at it at a place like this and just see that aggression there in the final few laps and just fighting with dead tires is a lot of fun. And also big shout out in the Cup Series to RFK Racing at Richmond. Chris Buescher getting the first win since Bristol of last year. And Keselowski, again, just like Bristol, he led so much of it. And then as the part owner of the team, doesn't get to enjoy the victory yet. But you got to think it's coming. They're doing a lot of positive things there. And I did note just how they did on the broadcast, I guess, when one of them is good, the other one is good too. That's with his 2-car team. They really can dial in, and big things are coming for RFK Racing. That's just a big weekend for them, big win for them, all team round.
Ben's taken mine to come into it as well. Well done, Sophia Flörsch.
Thanks,
Massive
Ben.
gracias, Simon. It's been a long time coming for him at JRM. Sorry. Okay, I've got a couple. Obviously, Sophia Flörsch taking it is a massive achievement. The first ever female driver to get points in a Formula 3. We had that back in Austria. This time it's staying, which is great news. My other one shining moment as well comes from yesterday, and I really did say Spa. Oh, it may have been crazy, it may have been dramatic, but I have never experienced such a crazy weekend as I have there, but ever. Spa is so unique, and it really has now taken 4 seasons in a day. We had everything but snow. That's what we love about it. So that is brilliant news. Last one I've got to say is the entire. It's a special one, but the Grid Network team and the JB Motorsports team and everybody for putting on another great show on a very crazy weekend where every series on the sun was being broadcast. So well done, everybody. Another great one. Brandon, thank you very much. We'll go through a lot more throughout next week's show when we've got a couple more series to cover. But in the meantime, do be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network and follow us on all of our social media platforms. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and LinkedIn. However, Ben, just to annoy you as well, you can now follow us on X as well. Yes, X marks the spots. Oh, over here, X is X Factor. So
That's right.
Simon
Yeah.
Cowell will be here next week with his high-waisted trousers and black shirts as well.
Yeah.
Fun
So
fact
what
about
exactly
Tom-
are you doing?
Yeah, it's just stroking the
Yeah.
cat as well, looking like this all the time as well.
My favorite quote from him is,
That was so bizarrely dreadful.
Yeah, and you know, a funny fact I know about him. I don't know if anybody knows this one, but this is really bizarre. His toilet paper is black. No idea why.
his personal toilet paper.
His personal toilet paper in his bathroom are black.
That doesn't worry me as much as the fact that we know these things about Simon Cowell.
The reason
Like,
I
it'd
know
be okay
that,
if that was private, but
the reason I know that is because there's a documentary series on. It was the Osbournes. You remember Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne,
Oh
and Sharon went to his house once and she took the cameras. And Simon looked around and she said, "Why have you got black toilet paper?" And he said, "Because it's black." And I was like, "Oh, that's a fair enough excuse."
Fair enough.
I have no idea. That's so weird. But yes, we're now on Threads as well. So the better version of what Twitter, X, whatever it's coming. Look, X is going to get sued by something sooner or later, isn't it? We all know that's coming. And most importantly, here on YouTube is the place to be. And join us as our journey towards 1,000 subscribers continues as well to see more amazing content like this. Our Patreons as well, if you really like what you saw tonight as well, just take 5 minutes on our show and do consider please joining our Patreon. You can join, as I said earlier, Colin, Deshelle, Mark, Robin and David all coming in here and investing in the Grid Network and keeping us on the air throughout 2023. And our long-term goal of $500 per month will allow us to begin attending races on site on a more regular basis, having team members out there, and of course expanding our coverage, bringing new members onto the team, and hopefully it's all going to be great. And also you can buy a specific on-air personality a coffee using the link in the description as well and get your name on the board. We can all do with some coffee as well, so please, thank you very much. The photos as well you've seen tonight as well, the credit down at the bottom where you can find all of the useful links as well from our wonderful partners. Coming up on the channel on Wednesday, don't miss Grid tonight. Myself, Kobe, Matt White, and guests. Yes, guests will be joining us as well. And Grid Live coverage throughout next weekend is looking very tasty as it's the Nashville Derby as well. The demolition is going to be beginning. It's slightly earlier time as well compared to the previous years. They've moved it forward 3 hours just because, you know, we never get done by midnight anymore. Final thoughts, Brandon? Anything to add before we close out tonight?
Yeah, the Cup Series heading to the Michigan International Speedway, and I think it's a Cup Xfinity type of weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And then also IndyCar here in town and the Music City Grand Prix. Luckily, I only go to the Sound Stadium on Tuesday night, so I won't have to deal with getting through there during the actual weekend this week. It's going to be fun there. And they're going to, of course, honor Joseph Newgarden for his Indy 500 victory in the hometown. So it'll be cool to have all that done. And I just love having IndyCar in Nashville. I hope it never leaves.
How many red flags?
Ask Luis Torres. I don't know. 6, I guess. I don't know. Wait, that's way too many.
I was thinking 4 or 5, so I think you're in the ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, for myself, Josh Birch, and to Brandon Crossley as well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Ben, come back soon. You can have your job back.
Please.
You make it look so much easier.
We're sinking here.
Yes, I'll stick to Grid tonight with Kobe. Thanks, guys. Do take care. Have a very good rest of your night. Thanks to Jim San Diego for the cameras. And Ben, we'll see you again soon. From us all here, thank you very much for joining us. It's goodbye for now.
Thank you for watching us right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos, including Life on the Grid, where we interview folks from the motorsports industry. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.